Imagine it's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. You are standing in the checkout line of a crowded grocery store in a quiet suburb of New Jersey. The sun is slanting through the windows. The hum of the refrigerators is constant, and the world feels perfectly normal. You reach into your pocket, pull out your card, and tap it on the reader. But instead of the usual beep of success, you see a message that sends a chill down your spine. The screen simply says, "Declined." You try again. Nothing. You pull up your banking app, but the spinning wheel of death is all you see. You look at the person behind you. They are staring at their phone with the same expression of pale, silent confusion. You try to check the news, but the pages won't load. The digital tether that connects your labor to your ability to eat has just snapped. In this moment of sudden silence, the numbers in your account haven't just vanished. They've become completely irrelevant to your survival. Now, look at your hands. In one, imagine you have a physical bar of gold, heavy as a lead brick and glowing with 5,000 years of human obsession. In the other, you have a piece of paper with 12 random words, the private key to your Bitcoin. One is a relic of dying stars. The other is a masterpiece of pure logic. The question isn't which one has a better return on investment over the last fiscal quarter. The question is, which one will actually save your life when the lights go out? We are witnessing a 5,000-year-old king face off against a 15-year-old god of code. Most people are picking the wrong side for the wrong reasons. They are distracted by price charts and social media hype, ignoring the fundamental nature of value. By the end of this story, you'll know exactly which one you need to hold to survive the next decade and why the answer might terrify you. This is more than a financial debate. It is a clash between two different definitions of reality. Are you truly prepared for the shift? If you want to master the hidden language of money, navigate the chaos of global finance, and stay ahead of the news that actually matters, you need to be part of this circle. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notifications. Join our community of modern explorers as we bridge the gap between 5,000 years of history and the digital frontier. Don't get left behind in a fading reality. Subscribe, and let's find the truth together. To understand why a yellow metal pulled from the dirt still dictates the fate of nations, we have to travel to a small, cluttered workshop in the Hudson Valley. This is where we meet Elias. Elias is 72 years old. His workshop smells of cedar shavings, machine oil, and history. He is a master watchmaker, a man who understands that, for a clock to tell the truth, its gears must be physical, tangible, and subject to the laws of friction. He doesn't trust anything he can't touch.
People think wealth is a number on a screen.
Elias says, his voice like dry parchment. He drops a 1924 St. Gaudens double eagle gold coin onto his wooden workbench. It doesn't thud, it chimes. That high-frequency ring is the sound of pure physics.
But wealth is actually just a time capsule. It's a way to take the sweat of your brow from when you were 20 and teleport it 50 years into the future so you can eat when you're 70. But most time capsules leak. The dollar leaks.
Elias is a living embodiment of the Lindy effect. This is a technical concept in sociology. For non-perishable things like ideas or gold, their future life expectancy is proportional to their current age. The formula is roughly ET is proportional to T. If a book has been in print for 50 years, it will likely stay in print for 50 more. Gold has been the plan B of humanity since the pharaohs. Mathematically, that gives it a 5,000-year head start on trust over any modern rival. Elias knows that gold isn't valuable because it's pretty. It's valuable because of its chemistry. If you look at the periodic table, gold is the Goldilocks element. It doesn't explode like sodium. It isn't a gas like argon. It isn't radioactive like polonium. It is chemically boring. It doesn't rust, tarnish, or decay. A gold coin recovered from a Roman shipwreck after 2,000 years under the sea looks exactly the same as the day it was minted. It resists the entropy of time. Gold is the only element that combines scarcity, durability, and portability into a single physical form. It doesn't require a power grid to exist. It doesn't require a software update to be verified. It simply is. For Elias, this is the ultimate insurance policy. If the digital world vanishes tomorrow, the atoms in his gold coin will remain unchanged. It is the ultimate store of value because it is a prisoner of physics, not a product of human whim or political will. And the world's most powerful institutions are currently proving Elias right. In a massive display of authority, the World Gold Council recently reported that central banks bought a record 1,037 tons of gold in 2023. Trend has exploded in 2024 and 2025. China, India, and Turkey are leading the charge. Why? Because in a world of rising geopolitical tension and $34 trillion in U.S. national debt, the people who run the world are trading digital promises for reality. They are returning to the only asset that is nobody else's liability. When you own a bond, you own a promise. When you own cash, you own a debt. But when you own gold, you own the asset itself. This shift by central banks is a silent admission. They are preparing for a world where the current financial operating system might need a total reboot. They are stacking atoms because they know bits can be deleted, frozen, or weaponized in a moment of international crisis. But Elias has a granddaughter named Maya. She lives in the high-tech, neon-lit pulse of Austin, Texas. Maya is 28, a senior blockchain developer who sees the world in terms of throughput, latency, and asymmetric encryption. To her, her grandfather's gold is a pet rock. She represents the new era, where value is weightless and moves at the speed of light. To Maya, the physical constraints that Elias loves are actually gold's greatest weaknesses.
Grandpa,
Maya says during their weekly video call,
gold is slow. You can't send it over a fiber optic cable to pay a freelancer in Tokyo. You can't verify it's real without a chemical kit or a scale. It's analog money in a world that has gone completely digital. It's like trying to run an artificial intelligence on a steam engine.
Maya represents the 15-year prodigy. She represents Bitcoin. She believes that trust should be placed in math, not in a yellow mineral. To Maya, Bitcoin isn't fake money. It is digital scarcity. She explains to Elias that for the first time in human history, humanity has discovered how to create something that is digital, yet cannot be copied. Before 2009, if you had a digital file, a photo, or a PDF, you could copy it 1,000,000 times. But Bitcoin solved the double spend problem through a decentralized ledger called the blockchain. It created a world where digital bits could finally be as rare as gold atoms. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. Period. This is governed by the ORI, unchangeable laws of mathematics, not the whims of a central bank. While a government can print $2 trillion in a single weekend to stimulate the economy, nobody can print more Bitcoin. Maya argues that this makes Bitcoin superior to gold because we don't actually know how much gold is left in the ground or even in the asteroids of our solar system. But we know the limit of Bitcoin. Maya points to the recent headlines to show Elias that the smart money has changed its mind. The approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs by the SEC led by giants like BlackRock and Fidelity has fundamentally changed the landscape. In its first few months, BlackRock's Bitcoin Trust became one of the fastest-growing ETFs in history. Wall Street isn't just flirting with Bitcoin anymore. They are building the infrastructure to make it the digital gold of the 21st century. This institutional adoption is a signal of authority. It means that the world's largest asset managers now view Bitcoin as a legitimate Tier 1 asset. For Maya, this is the final proof that her digital coins are ready for prime time. She sees a future where your net worth isn't stored in a vault, guarded by men with guns, but in a cryptographic signature guarded by the laws of the universe. To her, Bitcoin is the ultimate upgrade to a financial system that is dying of old age. The core of the conflict between Elias and Maya lies in a technical concept called counterparty risk. In the United States today, most of us live in a ledger-based reality. Your money is an entry in a bank's database. Your stocks are entries in a broker's database. But a database is a promise. It requires a counterparty to be honest and for the system to remain functional. If the bank fails or the government freezes your assets, that promise is suddenly broken. Bitcoin was designed to be your own bank. If you have your private keys, you own your wealth. It is portable. You can carry $1 billion across a border by memorizing 12 words. It is transparent. Every transaction is visible on the blockchain. But Maya and Elias's debate took a dramatic turn when Maya decided to take a trip to a remote region in Southeast Asia. This trip would test her digital beliefs against the harsh reality of a world that can still go dark. While she was there, a geopolitical glitch occurred, the kind of thing Elias has seen a dozen times in his long life. A sudden escalation in regional conflict led to a total kill switch scenario on the local internet. The government firewalled all outbound traffic to prevent information leaks. Suddenly, Maya's high-tech life was paralyzed. She had a fortune in Bitcoin stored on her hardware wallet, but without a connection to the network, that fortune was frozen. She couldn't pay for a hotel. She couldn't buy a plane ticket home. To the local merchants, her digital wallet was just a useless piece of plastic and metal. This is where the gift Elias had tucked into her bag changed everything. He hadn't given her travel money. He had given her a universal key, a 1-ounce gold Krugerrand. In a world where the Wi-Fi had died and the banks were under maintenance, that gold coin spoke a language that required absolutely no electricity. It didn't need a password. It didn't need a satellite connection. Maya walked into a small gold exchange in a side alley, and the merchant didn't ask her for her ID or her seed phrase. He weighed the coin, saw the luster of the 5,000-year-old king, and gave her enough local currency to hire a private driver to the border. That gold coin was a physical delete button for a broken system. It bypassed the digital chaos and provided a direct path to safety and survival.
You see,
Elias told her when she finally made it back to the Hudson Valley.
Bitcoin is a rocket ship. It's brilliant, it's fast, and it might take us to a new financial planet where the government can't steal our savings through inflation. But gold? Gold is the parachute. You don't need the parachute while the engines are humming. You need it when they stop. And in human history, Maya, the engines always stop eventually. It's just a matter of when.
As we look at the United States in 2026, the stakes have never been higher. We are living through an era where the national debt is increasing by $1 trillion every 100 days. The safe haven debate is no longer academic. It is a matter of generational survival. Bitcoin is the rebellion of the mind. It is for the optimist who believes the future will be more connected, more digital, and more free. It is for those who believe that code is more trustworthy than men. Gold is the rebellion of the earth. It is for the realist who knows that every unbreakable system in history has eventually broken. It is the ultimate tool for those who know that atoms are more durable than bits. So as you stand at this crossroads of history, looking at the screen of your phone or the walls of your home, you have to ask yourself the most important question of your financial life. What is the foundation of your trust? What will remain when the power fails? In a world where the internet is fragile, where governments are deeply in debt, and where trust is the rarest commodity of all, where will you invest your money? Would you believe in the elegant, unchangeable codes of the digital age? Or would you trust in the physical and safe mineral of the environment, the one that has never failed a human being in 5,000 years. The 5,000-year head start isn't a reason to stay in the past, it's the insurance policy for the future. Bitcoin may be the future of money, but gold is the history of survival. The truth is that you probably need both. You need the rocket ship to build wealth in a digital economy, but you need the parachute to ensure that wealth actually belongs to you when the world gets messy. Elias and Maya realized that they weren't enemies, but two sides of the same coin. They both wanted the same thing, an asset that no one could take away with the stroke of a pen. As you watch the news of central banks buying gold and Wall Street buying Bitcoin, realize that the world is hedging its bets. They are preparing for a great reset of trust. You should be doing the same. Don't let yourself be caught in the checkout line with a declined card and a dead phone. Understand the difference between a promise of value and value itself. One is a number in a ledger. The other is a weight in your hand. Which will be your anchor? We must also consider the environmental and industrial reality of gold. Unlike Bitcoin, which exists only as a ledger entry, gold is woven into the very fabric of our technology. It is in the circuits of the phone Maya uses to trade Bitcoin. It is in the satellites that provide our GPS. Gold has a utility floor that Bitcoin does not. If the world decided tomorrow that Bitcoin had no value, it would vanish. If the world said gold had no value, it would still be a vital metal. This industrial demand creates a constant buy pressure that is independent of financial speculation. In 2024, the demand for gold in technology and medicine reached new heights. It is used in everything from cancer treatments to high-end electronics. This means that gold's relevance isn't just a social construct, it is a physical necessity. For a long-term investor, this provides a layer of safety that a purely digital asset simply cannot replicate. However, Maya's point about portability cannot be ignored. In 2025, we saw several instances of people fleeing conflict zones with nothing but their Bitcoin seed phrases. They were able to cross borders with their entire life savings stored in their memory. Gold, in that scenario, is a liability. It is heavy, it is detectable by X-rays, and it can be confiscated at checkpoints. Bitcoin's invisibility is its greatest superpower in an authoritarian world. This is the billionaire's dilemma. If you are a high net worth individual in the U.S., you worry about civil asset forfeiture or wealth taxes. Gold is hard to hide from a determined government, but a private key? A private key is a secret between you and the math. This is why Bitcoin is often called freedom money. It allows for a level of financial privacy that hasn't existed since the days of physical cash. It is a shield against overreaching power. Yet, Elias would remind us that secrets can be forgotten. In the last 15 years, it is estimated that nearly 20% of all Bitcoin has been lost forever due to forgotten passwords or lost hardware. Gold doesn't have passwords. It doesn't have firmware updates. If you bury a gold bar in your backyard and your grandson finds it 50 years later, he doesn't need a tech support team to unlock its value. He just needs a shovel. Simplicity is a form of security. Let's talk about the concept of voluntary versus involuntary scarcity. Gold scarcity is involuntary. We find what we find. If we discovered a mountain of gold tomorrow, the price would crash. Bitcoin's scarcity is voluntary and programmatic. It is a choice made by the network participants. Maya argues this makes Bitcoin more honest. Elias argues that human choices can be changed, but the Earth's crust cannot. This is the debate between nature and logic. In 2026, we are seeing a new trend: tokenized gold. This is an attempt to bridge the two worlds. Companies are now issuing digital tokens on the blockchain that are backed one-to-one by physical gold bars in a vault. This allows you to move gold at the speed of Bitcoin. But as Elias points out, this introduces counterparty risk again. You have to trust the vault. You have to trust the company. You have returned to the world of promises, away from the world of facts. This brings us to the final boss of the gold argument: central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. In the next few years, the U.S. government may issue a digital dollar. This will be as fast as Bitcoin, but it will be controlled by the state. They will see every penny you spend. They could even set expiration dates on your money. In this panopticon economy, both Bitcoin and physical gold become the only two ways to maintain your financial autonomy. Bitcoin allows you to transact outside the government's social credit score. Gold allows you to store wealth outside their digital surveillance. Together, they form a barbell strategy for freedom. You use Bitcoin for your day-to-day digital life, and you hold physical gold as your exit hatch. This is the reality of the 2020s. We are moving toward a world of total digital control. And these two assets are the only things standing in the way of that control. Consider the generational wealth transfer. Trillions of dollars are moving from baby boomers, who trust Elias's gold, to millennials and Gen Z, who trust Maya's Bitcoin. This shift in trust architecture will define the markets for the next 30 years. As more young people move into positions of power, Bitcoin's 15-year history will grow into a 30-year history and a 50-year history. The Lindy effect will slowly begin to work in Bitcoin's favor. But will it ever catch up to 5,000 years? Time is the one thing you cannot hack. Gold has survived the fall of the Roman Empire, the Black Death, the French Revolution, and 2 world wars. Bitcoin has survived a few interest rate hikes and a couple of exchange collapses. It is a crisis alpha asset, but it hasn't yet faced the great filter of a century-long collapse. Gold is the only asset that has graduated from every school of hard knocks in history. Look at the opportunity cost. If you had invested $1,000 in gold in 2009, you would have roughly $2,500 today. If you had invested that same $1,000 in Bitcoin, you would be a multimillionaire. This is why Maya is so passionate. Bitcoin is an asymmetric bet. It has the potential for 100x growth. Gold is a defensive play. It is designed to preserve what you have, not to make you rich. You must decide if you are in the wealth creation or wealth preservation phase. For the average person watching this, the answer is likely both. You need the rocket ship of Bitcoin to outpace the rampant inflation of the dollar, but you need the parachute of gold to sleep at night when the markets are screaming. If you have 100% of your wealth in one, you are exposed to a specific type of catastrophe. Diversification between the two scarcity assets is the only way to build a truly antifragile portfolio in the modern age. Let's revisit the workshop. Elias is polishing a tiny gear. Maya thinks I'm old-fashioned, he says, but I've seen new eras come and go. I remember when they said paper is as good as gold. I remember when they said the internet will make physical assets obsolete. And yet, every time there is a real panic, the first thing people reach for is something they can feel. They want the weight. They want the truth of the metal. Because when things get scary, math feels cold. Maya, on her end, is looking at a chart of the hash rate, the total computing power securing the Bitcoin network.
Grandpa thinks I'm reckless,
She says,
but I see a global wall of energy protecting my savings. It's more secure than any vault in Switzerland. It's a living, breathing machine that never sleeps. It's the first time we've had a financial system that doesn't rely on the goodness of leaders, but on the self-interest of millions of participants.
these two perspectives are the defining tension of our time. We are living between two worlds, the analog past and the digital future. Most people are stuck in the middle, holding depreciating dollars that are being printed into oblivion. They are the ones who will lose the most. By choosing to hold either gold or Bitcoin, you are already ahead of 90% of the population. You are opting out of the inflation tax and into a system based on scarcity. In 2026, the data is clear. Physical gold demand is at all-time highs, and Bitcoin addresses with non-zero balances are also at all-time highs. This isn't a coincidence. It's a flight to quality. People are losing faith in the fiat experiment that began in 1971. They are looking for an anchor. Whether that anchor is a mineral or a code, they are both seeking the same thing: an escape from the promise-based economy and a return to fact-based wealth. So, we return to the question from the beginning. Where will you invest your money? Would you believe in the codes or in the physical mineral? Think about your own life. Do you live in a place with a stable power grid? Do you trust your local government? Do you believe the internet will always be open and free? Your answers to these questions will determine how much parachute you need versus how much rocket ship you can afford to ride. Remember that in a true SHTF, shit hits the fan scenario, barter becomes the economy. You can't easily barter with a whole Bitcoin, and you can't barter with a digital token if the phones are dead. But a gold coin can be traded for food, fuel, or medicine. It is the social baseline. It is the only thing that a farmer, a soldier, and a doctor will all agree has value without needing a third-party verification. This is the ultimate safe mineral argument. On the flip side, in a hyper-innovation scenario where AI and robotics create massive wealth, Bitcoin will be the currency of machines. AI agents will not use gold. They will use Bitcoin. If you want to participate in the wealth of the future, you need to own the currency of that future. Maya's world is coming, and it's coming fast. You don't want to be the person holding a bag of shiny rocks while the rest of the world is transacting in light-speed code. The 5,000-year rivalry isn't ending. It's just entering its most intense chapter. For the first time, gold has a real competitor for the title of the hardest money. This competition is good for you. It gives you choices. It forces both assets to prove their worth. In the end, the winner is the person who understands the strengths of both. Be like Elias, value the history. Be like Maya, embrace the future. But above all, hold something that is actually scarce. As you close this video and return to your life, take a moment to look at your financial time capsule. Is it leaking? Is it built on promises or on facts? Whether you choose the 5,000-year-old king or the 15-year-old god of code, make your choice with your eyes open. Believe in the code, but keep the mineral close. Because when the lights go out, the only thing that matters is what you can hold on to. Which will be your anchor in the storm? The choice is yours.